And greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Dan with another episode of What the Health. Every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, we go live with another episode of how to get healthy and stay healthy by going over the latest and greatest and tried and true health trends, answering your questions, diving into your concerns on how we get healthy and stay healthy for a lifetime. We are in some very interesting economic and health challenging times in the midst of the COVID-19 virus. My prayers go out to families, friends, community members who are struggling with this, both from a health perspective and, more importantly, an economic perspective. So you are certainly in our thoughts and prayers as we are going through this crisis together. So. For all of those who are stopping by this evening, I'm not going to talk too much about the COVID-19 since that has been beaten into our heads through the news, the media, our friends, our family members. Tonight, I want to talk about nerve nutrition. And we picked this topic again when we were planning out our March. March is National Nutrition Month, and awareness of that, and being a chiropractor and focusing on the nervous system, we want to talk a little bit about nerve nutrition and how that blends together with your health and well-being. So again, thank you so much for stopping by this evening. I hope you get a few great nuggets out of this on how you can help yourself get healthy and stay healthy in a salutogenic model. Always remember, we're talking about things from a health promotion standpoint, not a disease intervention standpoint. And many people, when they talk about nutrition, they're asking about after they've already had a sign or a symptom or something, somewhat of a health challenge that already started off, it already began. So for one example, I had someone come in the other day and they were talking about their leg cramping up, especially at night or early in the morning, waking them up at night. So, so they were asking, well, what type of nutrition would help that, and that is a neuromuscular challenge when that leg is cramping up. So, magnesium, potassium, those are two, very important. Very important nutritional supports that are a must for proper nerve and muscle function. Hydration is another one. From that standpoint. However, if you started off with the premise that if your body gets everything it needs from a nutrition, if it gets all the vital nutrients that it needs, then it knows exactly what to do with those nutrients all the time. And those signs and symptoms, those warning signals, they never have the opportunity to show up because everything that is there in the proper amount, the sufficiency amount, it never becomes shorted. So your body knows exactly what to do with it moving forward. So, from that electrolyte standpoint and kind of the basic trace minerals in the body, your calcium, your magnesium, your sodium. Those are some of the three biggest minerals that your body needs from a neurology standpoint, and the biochemical messaging that goes throughout those nerves to allow the electrical signals to fire throughout. So, many times I just want to make a quick note about calcium. I see a lot of people on a large number of supplements, especially women. They take a large number of calcium supplements and they'll take it in these big, powder forms. And those powders, really what it comes down to, your brain down to, it's chalk, it's calcium carbonate. It's the most poorly absorbable form of calcium in the body, and you're typically loading your body up with a lot of other fillers. There's actually been some research showing that significantly increased blood calcium levels leads to things like heart disease and other cancers. So we have to watch the amount of calcium we put into our body. If you have strong, healthy bones, if you work your body out from a resistance perspective, each and every day or a couple times a week, then your body will store proper amounts of calcium, and then it knows how to fine tune that blood calcium level into a very, very small amount. So maintaining the proper amount of calcium, magnesium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, those three are very, very important for your daily regimen. And you can get a lot of those in your fruits, in your vegetables, and in your your nuts and your seeds, and then also in your good quality meat sources that you have, because all the minerals that are in your muscles would also be present in the muscles of the meat sources that you eat, whether it be chicken, whether it be beef, lamb, venison, whatever the case may be. So, you can make sure you get those mineral concentrations from those good quality meats that you eat. From another perspective, from a nerve nutrition perspective, vitamin D. This is something that I take, and in the light of all the all the immune boosting that we're looking at in light of the COVID-19. We've been talking a lot about vitamin D. It's been linked to many different pathways and systems in the body. The support of your brain-derived nerve factor, which is a hormone in the brain that helps to rebuild those the connections in your brain. Vitamin D is very helpful with that. Vitamin D is also helpful, again, from an immune perspective. I've talked about this before, in making sure that your body goes through a natural apoptosis cycle, meaning that that damaged cells actually die off, which don't allow those damaged cells, those mutated cells, to continue to replicate and cause tumor and growth out of control. So vitamin D is very important for that to die off from a neurological perspective. Okay, so that's another one. So we talked about the electrolytes, talked about vitamin D. The other thing that I want to mention, second to most important, is your essential fatty acids. Most importantly, your omega-3s, but I like to talk about it in a group of omega-9, omega-6, and omega-3s. Omega-3s, or your essential fatty acids, they are what make up the border of every cell in the body. Your body is made up of anywhere between 50 and 75 trillion cells, and the border of all of those cells are made up with good quality fats, essential fatty acids. They're really the backbone to the membranes, which also allow for the proper signaling throughout the body. If the membrane of a cell is not intact, or it's disorderly, dysfunctional in any way, it cannot signal to the cells around it or other cells in the body. And as soon as it loses its disconnection with the intelligence of the body, that's when you can start to really wreak havoc from a health challenge perspective. So making sure that you have good quality oils from an essential fatty acid. Again, many times you can get that from your nuts. You can get that from seed sources like flaxseed and chia seed, but you also can get it from your good quality meat sources. We just don't tend to have the great diets that we did, several generations ago, especially when we were a hunter-gatherer nation. So we don't get those. So I do, encourage people to take an essential fatty acid supplement to make sure that we're getting good, healthy doses. Not just, I have heart disease now, so I should take my fish oil. No, we should be taking it long before you ever have a disease or a true need to take it. Your body needs it to be healthy. So if you take it before you ever have that disease show up, you're going to have the best fighting chance of getting healthy and staying healthy. So we talked about electrolytes, talked about vitamin D, talked about essential fatty acids. The final thing from a nerve nutrition standpoint that we really, really need to focus on is the fact that nerves need a proper amount of stimulation, which really comes down to a motion perspective, motion coming from the muscles, the joints, the spine. The motion of the body is what drives this stimulation of the nervous system. So that motion is very, very important from a nerve nutrition standpoint. So if we think about this, I want you to think of the example of a corded phone. Okay, I know we all have cordless smartphones now. So some offices, like myself and many other small businesses out there, they still have what are called corded phones. Okay, the phone is attached to the receiver, which comes out of the wall. So I want you to think about that. Now I have a cord as an example. Okay, that's my cell phone charger. But I want you to think of a corded phone. When your body undergoes stress, okay, if you start to undergo stress, then your body has to be able to process that. Well, imagine if you answer the phone the same way and then put it back and you put a little twist in that phone each and every time you pick it up and take it off, okay? Now I'm putting a little bit of a twist in this cord right now. You're not noticing anything yet. Now I'm going to twist it a little bit more. Now you start to notice how that stress of the tension in the cord starts to build up. And now I'm going to twist it and turn it a little bit more. So imagine you're putting that cord, that phone on and off the receiver each and every time, and you're not changing the direction, you're not changing anything with the stress. That stress starts to build up in the system. And now all of a sudden you have a kink in the cord, you have a kink in the connection, and so you didn't notice anything, and then all of a sudden now you have a completely dysfunctional cord, okay? That's what happens in the body if you cannot process the stress that we undergo on a daily basis. Everything that you do in your life is processed through your nervous system. If your body cannot properly and appropriately handle that stress, and adapt to it, then you start to get a system that becomes more and more and more tense. Think of it from the idea of the relief package or the stimulus package that the government is talking about right now. Okay, most businesses, individuals, I'm not saying all, but most businesses, individuals could handle a week, 2, 3, possibly even 4 weeks of the stressful state of a decreased or lack of income. Most of us, from a health perspective, can handle a couple weeks, a couple months, even a couple years, with, increased stress and no change, no symptoms, no signs, no signals. But if we don't do something to stimulate the economy from the stimulus package they're talking about for everyone to get back to work, we're going to see massive, massive changes, from our community and economic standpoint over the next couple weeks or the next couple months. Same thing happens in the body. If you don't have a way to process that and stimulate that nervous system on a daily basis to really, allow yourself to, to take that stressful state and put it back into a relaxed state, then you end up having health challenges. Again, they might not show up in a couple weeks, they might not show up in a couple months, but years down the road, when that stress isn't dealt with appropriately, through a stimulation of your system, through exercise, and more importantly, that's why your adjustments, your chiropractic adjustments are so important, because the motion of the spine is what really drives the majority of that stimulation to the brain. So if your spine is moving appropriately, then your body is able to adapt to these stressful day-to-day activities. If it's not moving appropriately, then it starts to accumulate, and the accumulation of stress over time leads to major negative health outcomes down the road. So, with that being said, from a motion stimulation perspective, the motion of your spine and your whole body is really what helps to drive that nerve nutrition. Essential fatty acids we talked about, vitamin D we talked about, and the basic electrolytes. Especially the calcium, magnesium, and potassium. So if you have any questions, please join our private group, pop them down here, or join our private group from the What the Health perspective. We are constantly answering more and more questions, and really helping people to truly get healthy and stay healthy for a lifetime. I'm Dr. Dan, talking from the salutogenic model, and I am here to ask you this week especially, and in the coming weeks, to be safe and stay healthy. I salute you, your family, and your community. See you next time.